Good morning, comrades! One of the most frequently asked questions from you to me is to tell you what's my favorite car of our fleet, or give you like a general update. And since we're running a 10% discount on every car because it's the end of the season, thank you, Wasp. I mean, even Wasps are attracted to this amazing discount. But I think this is a very good occasion to make a video where we're gonna jump in every car and tell you what makes those cars so special, and also why it's actually very difficult to tell you what's the favorite, because they are favorite in their own way. But enough talking, let's start with the Sub 7 Up, and this quite special one. So let's start with the car which is closest to my heart, and I think if you're like a regular subscriber, this car definitely does not require any further introduction. It is, well, again, I don't want to be like ruining the video already by saying that this is my most favorite, but definitely a car which is, like I told you, closest to my heart, because this car, the whole channel pretty much revolved around this car last year. It's the Volkswagen Up TSI, or the so-called Sub 7 Up, the car that I have built last year with the help of many other partners. The car, it's basically a vision of what I think a Nordschleife car should be for Touristenfahrt, and a car which is affordable, doesn't require lots of money, but with enough skill, it can upset lots of supercars. And if you haven't seen the video made by Misha and I last year, which by now almost has, or maybe already has, over 2 million views, make sure to check it out in the video description, where we upset a Ferrari 360 Scuderia, no, 430 Scuderia. But in short, about the mods. We started with putting, like with every modified car, we chip tuned the car. So right now the car produces 125 horsepower at the wheels, so roughly 160 at the engine crank. So for comparison, the stock one, the stock engine produces 90 without the chip tuning. So that's like quite a lot, almost 100% or ×2 increasement. But then, of course, horsepower is nothing. It's not the most important part on the track. The most spectacular part about this car is custom-made suspension by JRZ Suspension. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the suspension alone costs like 50% of the value of the car. And together with Nankang Air 1 tires, Cosmos Racing 15-inch wheels, so it's even smaller, so you have bigger sidewall of the tire, so the tire works better on the track. This makes this car just an absolute dream to drive, and you just have to be convinced by yourself. I mean, again, if you haven't watched the video, make sure to see what the car is capable of. And over winter, this car has received also other upgrades, like this full vicious cage, the Recaro pole position seats, strut harnesses, and the Gorilla exhaust for the nice tune to it, as you could have heard in the startup of the video. So yeah, in the right hands, this car can be an absolute underdog weapon. And I invite you to try it out, because actually last year everyone was asking, can we please drive the Sub 7 Up? Can we please drive the Sub 7 Up? Can you please add it to the rental fleet? But I was so bound to it, so close to this car, that I said, not yet. And then this year I made it available, and unfortunately a lot of people, when they come to the Nürburg, they come to Apex, and people don't know this car, they're like, the Up? First of all, what is the Up? Because you don't get it in lots of countries. It's limited like to European market. It's very popular in Brazilian market. Lots of Brazilians who come here, they're like, ah yeah, I want the Up. And then at the end, obrigado. Yeah, so make sure to comment. And it's the most affordable car, and now also with 10% discount, it's like only 100 euros per lap, including lap ticket and fuel. Make sure to check it out. But as you can see, my intention was to talk only for 1 or 2 minutes about the car. I'm keep on talking, so there's a lot more to it, but you need to discover yourself. And now let's jump in the next car, which is the 218i, another underdog of our fleet. Right, the BMW 218. When we first got this car, I was like, Robert, why? But throughout the months and evolution and all the mods, this has become my favorite car to instruct with, because I feel most safe. Because simple fact, the car is over-engineered on all the safety components. It has the same brake setup which is fitted on a BMW M235 or M40i or BMW M2. It has the GRZ RS1 suspensions, and to top that off, the Team Dynamic wheels together with Nankang NS2R tires make this car very safe, because although we have modified the engine with chip tuned like the Sub 7 Up, and it now produces around 200 horsepower and has upgraded intercooler, still the safety components make this car, I mean, it's very hard to mess up, and thereby this car is great for beginner. Also, it has a manual gearbox, so for everyone who comes here and then still biased that you can only drive a manual if you drive on the racetrack, and those people simply haven't heard of the double clutch transmission, or if you cannot drive a manual, you still can do this because this car has automatically auto blip, or this means that the car rev matches when you downshift. And just like the Sub 7 Up, if you're very capable and you can keep the momentum throughout the track, you can enjoy it a lot. And this car is also priced at 110 euros, so now at 100 euro including everything, and if you deduct the fuel and lap ticket, it's actually a steal. I think I need to talk to Robert and tell him that we need to increase the price for next year. So be quick, because right now the weather is still nice, and although you can have lots of fun with NS2R tires in wet conditions as well, in dry it can be an absolute underdog. But speaking of wet, let's talk about my favorite car in the wet conditions. Right, the Polo GTI. The reason why we got this car is because the first ever crashed car of Apex, ever first totaled car, was a Polo 1.2, which was a real steal and very popular, and unfortunately got crashed, and then we replaced it for a GTI. And ever since, like with the 218 and the Up and many other cars that are going to follow in this video, it has become pretty special. Actually, well, the only major upgrades that we've done to it are the brakes. It has Dixel endurance pads, stop-tech brake discs, and obviously, like any other rental car in our fleet, it has upgraded brake lines and brake fluids. For the rest, the car is stock. The stock engine producing around 190 horsepower is more than sufficient. Front-wheel drive makes the car very safe. And the transmission, DSG, a lot of people hate it for some reason, and especially in the Polos, because the manual version you get roughly 80 Newton meters of torque more, because the manual transmission can handle a bit more torque. But I can say that the torque that this engine delivers in combination with DSG on the Nordschleife is more than sufficient. And it's, again, one of my most favorite first-timer cars for people who are the first time on the track and they have never done track driving before, because with this transmission you can just focus on the track without like being worried where to, like which gear you should be in. And if you like to drive a bit faster, you just put it simply in sport mode, or you push the sport button, and then it becomes amazing, phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie, I like this transmission even more than BMW's M transmission, for example, like the M2 or the M4, because it keeps RPMs high and you always have that torque and horsepower that you need throughout every corner when you get out, whereas the BMW transmission kind of likes to have it a bit on the low side. Of course, you can remap that, but in a stock form, this car is simply amazing. And again, and finally, like I told you in the beginning when I first jumped into the car, actually before that, I said this car is absolutely phenomenal in the wet. And like with the Up, if you haven't seen one of the videos from last year, make sure to check it out, where we took it out to test the stop-tech brake discs. We took it to a cold racetrack of Zolder, and we absolutely obliterated every other car on the track, whether it was a race car or a high-performance car, because this car in the wet is just simply pretty much unbeatable, unless, of course, you have a full race car with rain slicks, etc., etc. But to finalize, I would say this car is just the best entry-level all-rounder that we've got. And again, wet. Can it start raining again? Because I want to do some wet laps with this. But actually, just want to say this car probably also has the highest mileage of our car. It has 36,422 kilometers right now. And because it's so popular, we actually also got the new model Polo. Oh, hi there. Yeah, I guess I'm supposed to be driving this car and telling you more about it, but sorry, I was a bit amazed and mesmerized by this amazing virtual cockpit display. And I mean, I can be just short about the new Polo GTI because they grabbed the previous model and improved every single bit. For example, it has the 2-liter engine opposed to 1.8, which offers a bit more horsepower, a bit more torque. It's built on the same platform as the Golf, so the rigidity of the chassis is improved massively, so which offers extra stability in the corners. So in general, this is just another great all-rounder, and the mileage confirms it, just slightly more than a month of ownership, and the car has already almost 6,000 kilometers. But going back to the Golf, let's skip that and jump into the car next to me, which is the Cupra. I just had to do it. The Seat Leon Cupra 290. 290 says the amount of horsepower, although according to rumors, if you put them on a dyno, they're all gonna say 300 plus, like actually most of the cars. But anyway, this is probably one of the, it's definitely the best bang for buck car that we have. It was last year already probably the most popular car that we had, and for a good reason. It has way too much horsepower for the track, or actually way too much in a stock form. And if you compare it to the stock form, what we've done to it, we have the JRZ RS Pro suspension on it, team dynamic wheels with the 9 S2R tires, endless brake pads with gyro disc brake disc, which is like the similar setup as endurance race cars run, and the interior upgrades, the exhaust upgrades. I mean, I can go on and go on and go on, but now it makes this car an absolute animal. And I can just say you that this is the most popular car for track day use. This car has seen more track days than probably all of the other cars combined, because again, this is simply the best bang for buck car. You can enjoy the main straight when it's open during the track days to like 270 kilometers an hour roughly. You can achieve that, and the handling with all the mods that I mentioned is just phenomenal. Lots of people just get in this car and they absolutely love it. Again, if you are an advanced driver, just get that and don't look any further and you'll be just amazed. It's like, I just don't know what to say. It's best bang for buck car there is. Simple as that. But there is, however, one downside. We got rid of the back seats, and because of that, we got the Golf GTI. So, the Golf GTI, and like the Polo GTI, I'm not even gonna drive it. Well, I'm gonna reverse it slightly so you can enjoy the view a bit more. But, I mean, the only thing you need to know is that the Golf GTI has been a benchmark car among the hot hatches, and it does everything you want to do. And the only thing I want to say is, like I said, the Cupra, if you want to have like the best hot hatch, but you want to have the back seat, when you want to take some friends with you, this car only 150 euros a lap, so when you divide it between 4, it's going to be very cheap, and everyone can enjoy. And again, amazing bang for buck if you want to have the best at affordable price and enjoy it with your friends. Good, and to finalize with the hot hatch segment of our rental fleet, there we have it, Clio RS 200. And you're probably wondering, hey, why are you sitting on the wrong side? No, it's not the wrong side, it's right-hand drive, so it is the right side. Probably for people who are used to driving right-hand drive, gonna make that joke. But this car we purchased obviously to satisfy UK and actually Australian market, and at this point more Australian market, because more Australians pick this car because people from UK usually come with their own car, which is understandable. But however, what many people often forget is that all the UK insurers have banned the Nürburgring. So you can have the best, perfect, amazing, fabulous lap you ever drove without having any accidents, and then your car overheats and for example you spill coolant or even oil, and then behind you a train of supercars gonna go over it, end up in the barriers, and you will be charged with the cost of that. It is unfortunately the hard reality, so that's why it's always interesting to rent a car in general. But there are plenty of other reasons why you should rent this car, and this is one of them. 7,500 RPM redline. That's amazing. And because there's no interior, this sounds fabulous. It's like a GT3 RS, but then a budget version. And also the handling is phenomenal. A lot of people often ask, what type of mods does this car have? What suspension is it running? Stock with lowered springs, but the car out of the box is simply one of the best hot hatches ever made. And if you're looking to buy one yourself, definitely consider getting Clio RS 200. Actually, we are right now considering of getting a left-hand drive version of this car simply because it's so fantastic. But this is something you have to find out yourself. And let's go to another car which is just very special. Right. I can probably say that maybe not my favorite car, although the issue is I cannot decide what car is my favorite, but I can probably say that this is Robert's most favorite car. And let me explain you why. I mean, for starters, the GT86 has been awarded by multiple journalists around the world as simply the best driver's car in the world of the last 5 years, 6 years. The first generation was already good, but the second gen is even better because they improved the traction control, because it was on the first generation car, it was a bit too much. But anyway, out of the box, it is already an amazing car. But the amount of mods that we threw at this car is just mind-blowing. Again, just like most of the car is just way too cheap that we are offered for. Let me start, for example, this was the first car that we installed the custom-made JRZ suspension, two-way RS Pro. Then everything else, the HKS manifold, HKS exhaust. So the sound is great. You could have heard it at the beginning already. Then the best mod, according to the GT86/BRZ owners, is the short final drive. So the car accelerates faster but has lower top speed. And this car has it. It has also Cusco limited slip differential. So the grip is even better. It's like, and the way it turns is phenomenal together with suspension. Also, the AP Racing big brake kit in the front, stop tech discs in the back, and also the front. Then the car is already very lightweight by itself, but we got rid of unnecessary weight and we added the roll bar in the back, obviously the Recaro pole position seats and the short harnesses. And on top of that, the car has upgraded group and engine and transmission mounts, and thereby you can feel everything what the car does with your butt, and the way the car handles it just like a go-kart. Then you're probably gonna ask, what about the engine? Well, we left it stock because a lot of people complain that the GT86 is underpowered, but again, Nordschleife does not require having a powerful car. It's about the momentum and going fast through the corners, and boy, you can go fast through the corners. We did add the EcuTech tuning to it, so it does have roughly 20 to 30 extra horsepower, but even if the car would have like extra 100 horsepower, still the most mind-blowing thing is the handling. The handling is superb because of all the mods I mentioned previously, and also the additional M4 GTS wing on the back, which gives you the extra downforce through the corners, the high-speed corners, so you can maintain the top speed. It's simply phenomenal. To express it, I always tell the same story to potential customers of this car. We had last year 2 guys from Canada. They drove 4 laps with this car, and after that they say, you know what, we're gonna stay extra night, we're gonna change our schedule, change our travel plans, because we want to drive the whole day the following day with this car. They were so in love with it, and everyone is in love with this car once you get into it. The only downside could be lack of back seats, and although I can say, well, in that case jump in the taxi, we have something else, which is rear-wheel drive and a bit more powerful with back seats. So let's jump in the BMW M2. Yeah, suppose you want to have rear-wheel drive, powerful, and a BMW. Then, of course, you end up at the M2, a car which was very much anticipated. All the BMW and car enthusiasts in general were waiting for the revival of the BMW E30 M3, and in that case, that was the M2. Small, lightweight, powerful enough, while offering lots and lots of fun. Like most of the cars, it has modified components such as brakes, tires, but also suspension, JRZ, RS Pro, and actually it was the very first car that we have ever bought when we started Apex. But again, summary, fast rear-wheel drive, has the interior, so you can hop in with your friends for like to share the costs. But I actually want to get in the M4 because it's the final car I want to talk about, and you know, there's a special story behind it. So, our top of the range car, BMW M4. And if you were wondering what kind of special story I was talking about, if you're new to this channel, last year was finished on a very bad note. I had a pretty bad accident with this car, and well, we always try to use the bad happenings to improve a lot of things, to learn from it, in case for me as a driver, but also we improved the car massively. For example, we got rid of the ABS issue because on stock, the ABS is pretty intrusive because it's a very heavy car in stock form. And speaking of heavy, we got rid of like, what, 200 kilograms of excessive weight because BMW M4 is actually a luxury sedan, saloon. In German they call it limousine. All the foreign non-German speakers will be like, what do you mean limousine? It's not like a limo. But anyway, all the jokes aside, with luxury comes lots of sound deafening material, a lot of unnecessary things that you don't need on the track, because you actually do want to hear your exhaust sound, for example. So when you put it in Sport Plus, open up the valve, and then nice sound, nice sound. Apart from that, TSI RS Pro 3-way suspension, horsepower plenty, 431. Why would you add more? As you could have seen, also the interior received a number of upgrades like the Recaro pole position seats, short harnesses. All in general, with the extra horsepower and extra handling and suspension mods, it's an amazing car. It's simply, without a doubt, for a reason, top of the range. But it gets even better than that, because as of now, for the end of the year, we offer the M4 for the same price as the M2. So if you want to drive the M4, a modified, a special one, make sure to let us know, because this car is getting very popular, especially in September, which is like an actual holiday month in China. Lots of Chinese people come and they all want to drive the M4. So this car gets booked out very soon. So shoot us a message. And yeah, to finish this video, what is my favorite car? I don't know. Every single one of them is so special in their own way. It's either very special in the wet, in the rain, or the handling is just unmatched, and the satisfaction, the reward it gives you when you just nail that particular corner section, or like the rumble of the exhausts. Hard to say. You know what? Among you viewers, there are definitely lots of people who have actually driven those cars. So tell me please in the comments, what makes the car that you drove so special? What made you enjoy it so much? So the others can be convinced and come and enjoy it themselves. See you guys next time, where I probably, well, if you like this video, let me know which car you want to see more of, so I can make more extended review. And if you're gonna ask, why didn't you take them out on the track? Well, stay tuned. Soon, I promise there's going to be a video where I explain everything about the media license and the reasons behind them. Thanks for watching. See you at the Nürburgring. Bye-bye.